Our second stanza picks up um, after our if then statement. Um, we're saying, if this impossible condition were met, then I would meet it with this other impossible offer. And we begin with but, this conjunction that signals a hard shift. And this is something we've talked about before, where we use but to negate what we've already said. Usually with something like when we compliment, when we don't mean to compliment, we mean to criticize, not even critique, but to insult usually. But critiques also, where we say like, those are really nice shoes, but that color doesn't look good on you, right? Where the first part really gets erased by the conjunction and what comes after it. So here we have that same where we could almost read lower rate, comma, but. And as we move into this new stanza, we radically shift direction. I would do all this for you, and you deserve that type of love. But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. So he's saying, I can't. Um, that version of love isn't possible because time is always creeping up on me. I can't outrun time. That we don't have all the time in the world because it's actively chasing me in a vehicle, in a war vehicle, in a chariot. And furthermore, and in addition to time chasing me, yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. So this poem is caught up in an immediacy of the present. And it says, the future, everything in front of us is desert. There's nothing there. And we move into our first period of the two sentences in the second stanza. The first one is really quick. It's, but at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near, and yonder before us lie deserts of vast eternity. We have another kind of hard shift in terms of imagery within this stanza, where he's now looking into the deserts of eternity and describing what he sees. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. So, in this desert of vast eternity, he's saying, your beauty's gone. I can't look to the future because in the future you're not pretty anymore. In the future you got ugly and old. And not only did you get old in the future, and an ugly version of old, but in your marble vault shall sound my echoing song. So not only is she old, but she's dead. And all we hear is his continued attempts at seduction over her dead body. Then, because that wasn't kind of emphatic enough, we're going to really try to drive this point home. Then worms shall try that long preserved virginity, where he says, you either take me now, we go off, we have sex now, or you get old, you get ugly, you die alone, and the worms get your body. Either way, someone's getting your body, right? And the argument here, the implicit argument, is, aren't I better than a worm? And because we're still building here, there's still construction happening. And your quaint honor turned to dust. Your quaint honor, right? Like this is a minimizing technique. We saw this before with words like little. You know, your little resistance, this quaint honor, this coyness that she's been engaging in, has now been rebranded. Whereas before it was a criminal coyness. Here it's a quaint honor. It's like, oh, isn't that cute? So in her marble vault, in her tomb, in her grave, all of his lust is turned to ashes. His all this fiery passion that he has is just burning up with nowhere to go, as she's over there having her body devoured by worms. And now we end with a new couplet. Um, the grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. So he's still operating under the assumption that she's rejecting him not because she either doesn't want to have sex or because she actually has an opinion, but she's rejecting him because of social codes. And he's saying, as long as we follow these rules that exist, you're gonna die. You're gonna get gross and then die. I'm gonna be sitting out here frustrated forever. And the only private place that we're gonna get is one where we can't have each other. Um, and at this point, um, if not at the beginning of the second stanza, or even in the first one, at this point we're supposed to be tuning into how manipulative the speaker is. That this is a kind of Machiavellian person who's plotting out this argument as if it's pieces on a chessboard, where we've got these if then if she makes this move, I'm gonna do this. And a lot of this poem is anticipating counters. So we move from what you deserve, kind of soften her up, be like, this is what I would do for you. This is all this wonderful, beautiful imagery, into all of the reasons that she's not going to get what she deserves, no matter what, even if it's someone else, right? That if she holds out for what she deserves, she's just going to get eaten by worms. Fascinating poem. Gives us a lot to work with. And this idea of kind of spectral embraces and the spectral imagery is interesting in where it pushes us. This idea that even in death, they can't get what they want. There is no sense of afterlife here. There is no eternal happiness or bliss. It's we either seize this moment or we die. That's it. Kind of zero to 60 kind of maneuver, which is an interesting kind of rhetorical choice, although it's an effective rhetorical choice. The sense of immediacy is something that forces people into decision before they have time to think about it or to really analyze if it's something that they want. Right? That's why the 24-hour cooldown period is a technique that people use for big purchases. Like before you buy the car, you go home, you think about it. Before you agree to buying the house, you go, you think about it. And that's what leads us into our third stanza.